The word other has become a verb. Someone othered me, or stop othering them. And our Torah portion speaks to exactly this warning. V'chi yagor itcha ger ba'artzachem lo tonu oto. When others reside with you in the land, you shall not wrong them. The others who reside with you shall be to you as your citizens. You shall love each one as yourself, for you were others in the land of Egypt. I am the eternal your God. You shall protect all my laws and all my rules, God says. These words of Vayikra chapter 19 are part of what is known as the Holiness Code. Right at the center of the Torah, the central verses and the central chapter and the central book contain the ethical mitzvot that can make or break a society. God gives us these laws long before we enter the land of Israel so that we have time to study them, to consider them, to think about all the large and small ways that we can live by them when we are fortunate enough to return to the land of our ancestors. How we treat our neighbors, how we treat people who are not like us, how we treat fellow citizens, how we treat the legal and illegal immigrants who come to live among us. These determine and define the sanctity of life. And that's true in the land of Israel, and I believe that's true in all lands. This week, some terribly hurtful and harmful things were said by members of Israel's government. They do not match the views of the majority of Israelis, nor the majority of world Jewry, but they were said in our names. In response, Sarah Tuttle Singer, who is an observant Jew, who is a Jerusalemite, who is a mother, a teacher of Torah, and a poet, wrote the following. I'm a Jew, and I'm also a Zionist. And that means I love this land and believe in our people's right to safety, dignity, and peace. But if being a Zionist means staying silent while leaders in my government talk about, quote, totally destroying Gaza and making its people, quote, despair enough to leave, then count me out of that kind of Zionism. Because I know fear, I've lived it. I know rage, I've lived it. I know what it means to carry a child to bed while the sirens wail. And I know what it means to live with genetic memory, the kind that's etched into our bones from exile and expulsion, from Pharaoh, from Babylon, from Rome, from the Inquisition, from the Holocaust, from pogroms in Eastern Europe and across the Arab world, from the long and bitter lineage of being hunted, hated, and burned. And I know this too. When we allow our trauma to speak louder than our values, we risk becoming what we were never meant to be. What Hamas wants, what anti-Semites around the world want, is for us to lose ourselves. Sarah writes, to let the fire of October 7th blind us to the difference between defense and destruction, to become the version of ourselves they've always feared and hated, the dark, vengeful, heartless Jew. But that is not who we are. We are a people who know the weight of history, who remember what it means to be powerless and choose not to wield power without conscience. We are commanded to remember the stranger because we were strangers once too. We are taught not to harden our hearts, even when it would be easier to do so. This is our power. This is our calling. And this must be our red line. And so, Sarah writes, no, Minister Smotrich, you do not speak for me. I will stand against Hamas and anyone who wants to harm us. I will fight them myself. But I will also stand against the kind of rhetoric that desecrates our past and endangers our future. Because if we become the kind of people who break others in order to feel whole again ourselves, then we've already lost more than we can afford. And I will not let this happen, not in my name, not in the name of my ancestors, not in the name of my children, and not in the name of Judaism or Zionism either. I'm very moved by these words that come from Jerusalem. The most often asked question since October 7th, 2023 is, what can I do? What can I do? And we diaspora Jewry have been asking this question every day since. And questions like, how can I make a difference? How can I make Israel more secure? How can I stand in solidarity with like-minded Israelis who have been demonstrating for more than 2 years in defense of Israel's democracy? We ask, what can I possibly do to increase the prospects for peace among Israel and her neighbors in a most dangerous part of the world? How can I help to promote unity among Israeli citizens of all backgrounds, religions, and Jewish expressions? The answer is clearer right now than it was before, because we are in the midst of the World Zionist Congress elections. The World Zionist Congress, founded by none other than Theodor Herzl, is the parliament of the Jewish people. We, World Jewry, are poised to elect delegates to represent us this fall in Israel, when $5 billion will be allocated over the next 5 years. This is both very exciting and very serious, and I want to make sure you don't miss it. I am proud to be one of the 12 people from Holy Blossom Temple who are delegates on the slate to represent Artsa Canada in the World Zionist Congress. Artsa Canada is the Reform Zionist Organization of Canada, which shares our values of Jewish pluralism and democracy. We will represent you well. We will vote against extremism. We will vote against racism. We will vote for recognition of non-Orthodox marriages and non-Orthodox conversions. We will vote for recognition of Reform and conservative rabbis and Reform and conservative congregations, including the one in Ra'anana, which was physically attacked by Jewish extremists on Yom HaZikaron. We will vote to protect the rights of women and the rights of LGBTQ individuals and families. The Reform Movement's Israel Religious Action Center and its team of impressive lawyers have taken some cases all the way up to the Supreme Court of Israel. These hard-won cases, which are under constant threat, are devoted to protecting and fulfilling the spirit of Israel's Declaration of Independence. In the early weeks of June, you will have a chance to cast your votes. If you are Jewish, if you are 18 or older, if you are Canadian, it is very important that you do 2 things. Cast your vote, and I would suggest for Artsa Canada, but I recognize we have many guests who are not affiliated with the Reform movement. If you read the Reform slate and it resonates with you, you can vote Reform even if you are not affiliated with a Reform congregation. But I urge you, read the platforms and vote according to your conscience. And then the second thing is, I ask that you please, everyone, let your circles of Jewish family and friends, colleagues and neighbors know that they can participate as well, and they ought to if they care about the future of Israel and the Jewish people. All you need are $2 and 2 minutes. So if you have been asking, what can you do to make a difference? If you have been asking, what can you do to ensure that the Jewish character of the Jewish state includes you and the people you love? If you have been asking, what can you do to ensure that Israel's future is shaped by your values, that you see your Judaism and your Zionism reflected back out into the diaspora? There is this answer. There is this action item which is upon us now. It is no exaggeration to say that the sanctity of today's Judaism is being determined and recast now. The quality and character of today's Zionism are in the balance now. How will we fulfill the lofty aims of this week's Parsha and the Holiness Code? You shall not wrong those who aren't like you, but live with you in the land. You shall love each one as yourself, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. I, the Eternal, am your God. Protect my laws, says the Eternal One. Yes, God-given laws need human protections. Each of us has a role and a responsibility now. We don't get to vote in Israeli elections, but we do get to vote every 5 years in the World Zionist Congress. Shabbat Shalom.